Hello, sports fans. This is Steven here for JustMyPicks.com, and I bring you a special NBA breakdown. Let's face it, folks, it's Game 7. NBA Finals. San Antonio Spurs are taking on the Miami Heat in the American Airlines Arena in Miami. There's going to be a lot of energy coming out of that building. The Miami Heat, once again, have bounced back in a major way. We've seen them do it numerous times throughout the last season. We saw them do it last year against Oklahoma City after losing the first game. We've seen them even last year against Boston in Game 6 and in Game 7 to win the series. LeBron James has really stepped his game up. I know he struggled for the first three quarters of yesterday's game, basically going 3 for 12. Before that, fourth quarter outburst of 13 minutes without a headband and him just exploding, forcing his will on the San Antonio Spurs. A lot has to be said to the San Antonio Spurs. Going into Game 7, their mind has to be all over the place because giving up that kind of lead in the way that they did with, I noticed on television when I was watching, I saw them bringing out the yellow ropes and them escorting the Larry O'Brien trophy out and things like that. And it was almost shades of disrespect to the Miami Heat. I know last night when I was watching the game, I was tweeting, I was on Facebook, putting my post up, and I thought this game was over. I thought the game had really taken a turn for the worse, and I thought that the foul calls, having Joey Crawford calls in the NBA, I still don't know why it's happening. You know, he has so many acts to grind with so many individual players. It's silly. The Miami Heat all night bounced back from bad calls. LeBron was driving most of the night and didn't get a lot of calls. A lot of people are killing LeBron for the first three quarters, but you have to realize LeBron James did have a triple-double yesterday, and a lot of his assists were big-time points late down into the fourth quarter. He tried to get Mike Miller involved, Ray Allen, Chris Bosh, a lot of those guys open. And a key thing for me is when the Miami Heat were making that comeback, it wasn't a big three on the floor that we saw. The Miami Heat going into this game knew what they had to do. When they made that huge comeback, Wade and Bosh were both on the bench. And they went with a smaller lineup, and they pushed the pace to a pace that was uncomfortable for the San Antonio Spurs. We saw Kawhi Leonard miss a free throw. We saw Ginobili miss a free throw. And Popovich just got outcoached. And the Spurs just got outplayed towards the last part of that. It was a few questionable non-calls versus calls for the Spurs and for the Miami Heat as far as them swallowing their whistle with the Ray Allen play on Ginobili and the Danny Green play. But going into Game 7, this is a do or die must win. Nothing must be left on the floor at all. Both these teams, look, there's no more resting players. I know Greg Popovich believes in resting his players, but there's no more resting. This is a for both teams. This is a legacy game. The Spurs have a lot on the line. So does LeBron James and the Miami Heat. Tim Duncan really played his best performance that he could possibly play. And I think that hurt the Spurs. Because going into this game, your psyche has to be emotionally damaged. Tony Parker has to feel some kind of way about missing those 4 shots in the fourth quarter, being guarded by LeBron James. Because they absolutely smothered Tony Parker. And it was ridiculous. So, in this game, I'm going to look at all the things that have been up to this game, from Game 1 to Game 6, all the goods, all the bads, all the negatives and positives for both these teams. And I still have to stick with the Miami Heat because LeBron, we saw that killer come out last night. We saw the Jordan-esque, if you will, or the Kobe-esque, if you will, come out in the last quarter of play. Now LeBron must come out from quarter 1 from tip-off and execute just like that. Also, Dwayne Wade, your knee, it doesn't matter at this point. This is the last game. This is potentially your last game as a part of the big three for the Miami Heat, so you might as well leave it all out on the floor. Chris Bosh, the same to you, and any other player on the Miami Heat is expendable except LeBron. So I'm calling this game to be a very close game. I like this game to be 107-102. The Miami Heat somehow outlast the San Antonio Spurs. I think Greg Popovich will have coaching adjustments, but I think Eric Spoelstra will also. A lot of people talk about how Eric Spoelstra isn't a good coach, but looking through all of the game film and all of the adjustments that have been made in this series, just having talent on your team doesn't win games. Not in the NBA Finals. So the Spurs are a good team. The Miami Heat are a good team. The big three for the San Antonio Spurs are older. They have to rely on Danny Green coming in big. They have to rely on Neal bringing in big buckets late. So in this game, I expect for a lot of other players not to shoot a lot for the Miami Heat, and I expect LeBron to go to the free throw line. Also, D-Wade, a numerous number of times. I'm picking the Miami Heat in a close one. You can check me out at justmypicks.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at justmypicks.tv. You can also check me out on YouTube. This video and any other video on YouTube /justmypicks.tv. Thank you very much for subscribing, and please comment.